Um, I'm just gonna like, fuck. I have like the, oh god, now everybody can hear me. Here we are. I hope everyone can hear us. Just had some tech. Oh, hello, Bojangles. Just joined our Discord and stuff. So we've been off for 2 weeks. I was on vacation, and we all just kind of needed a break. Summer vacation. All of us kind of going back to work, and you know, a lot. So. We had a different subject for today, but one of our members had kind of a medical emergency. He's doing fine, doctor, he's fine. He just needs to rest. So we're just going to take it easy today. We're going to talk about our childhood games, like kind of our experiences, and then we're going to do something fun at the end, and it involves you guys. So I'll introduce everybody. I am Hylia. Hello, and we have Vanessa, Drunk Gamerette.
Hi.
And we have Shadow today.
Yo, please continue wearing your masks. It's hot, it's nasty, but please, come on.
Please, like, I want to stay at the pub. I don't want to get it taken away again. Like, I'm, and then in Doctor's place, I have a picture of Garnet and Zidane because I've been playing 9 a lot today. So I was like, oh, this seems nice. But yeah, so let's get started. So, oh God. I mean, I'm just going to start off with like a random question. Like, when did you guys start playing video games?
Me, probably like 4 or 5
What
on
was
like the Super Nintendo.
what was that game, Vanessa? What was that game you started with?
I think it was Super Mario World,
Oh my God.
and it was a lot of fun. I was always Luigi. My sister always made me be Luigi. She never let me be Mario.
Oh my
And
God.
I feel like Luigi was so much cooler in that game because I pretty much single played it, and I feel like the green color scheme looks so much better on his sprite. Like I preferred looking at Luigi on the screen than Mario.
Yeah.
Really?
And he was taller too. I feel like that helped in some cases.
Yeah, like even though it's not an actual Super Mario game, Super Mario 2 solidified my love for Luigi. Just because like he was my go-to. He had the highest jump and like the longest jump, so yeah.
Yeah.
Luigi.
That's
Super
funny.
Mario 2, that was... Sorry.
No, go
Tyler,
ahead.
Sorry.
I was gonna say it's
Super
funny. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Vanessa. We're out of practice here.
Super Mario 2, that was the one where, shoot, you were kind of like... It wasn't, like, formatted the same way like the world, right? You just kind of, like...
Yeah, you were quote-unquote in the dream world fighting
Yes.
against Mort.
Yes.
And you were using vegetables to kill enemies and you could pick them up and stuff.
Yes.
In Japan, actually, it was a completely different game called Doki Doki Panic. But they thought, the US gamers are not going to have fun with the real Super Mario 2, which was basically Mario 1 plus Dark Souls. And so they decided to convert Doki Doki Panic into a Mario game for America.
Hold on, you guys. I think we just disappeared.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't, because I'm always vanished.
What the hell? I literally just like minimized Discord. I didn't do anything I normally don't do.
You've
They can
been
still hear us,
shadowed.
though.
Oh, Shadow's here. Okay, Shadow's here. Sorry, guys. Oh my god.
No, you're fine, baby. Don't even worry.
Lord have mercy.
I am now drunk gamerette.
Oh god.
Well, you know,
I
you
think
have
I
fun
had
with
you
that,
there.
sir. I haven't gotten a drink in a minute here.
Yeah, sorry, let's just keep talking. Well, I'll fix this while we're talking. So it's funny that you guys say that Mario is your first game because Mario, was it Super Sunshine? Was my first game. And it was on GameCube.
Oh my god, you guys are so young.
I know. I was on GameCube. My parents did not want us to have video games. They like hated the idea of that. So
That's fair.
yeah, they were not fans. Hold on one sec. I'm just fixing this. Bear with me.
Oh, see, my parents are like the
All of
complete
your
opposite.
Discord business is now on Twitch.
Whatever. They're just seeing like what they just see what Discord servers. What the hell? I might have to like be like standby while I fix this. This is annoying. Why does this always happen? Okay. Sorry, friends. Here, keep talking.
No worries. It's all entertaining.
So,
yeah, my parents were like the complete opposite. They were totally like, yeah, no, let's get a bunch of video games for you guys to play. That way you don't ask to leave the house, like, ever.
Oh my god.
But, yeah, we weren't like allowed to go over to friends' houses. They had to come here. We couldn't sleep over at their houses. They had to sleep over at our house. Like, we weren't allowed to leave.
Oh dear. Oh, okay.
I can sort of understand that as a parent, because then, like, you have that peace of mind, like, you know exactly what's going on with your kid.
Oh, yeah. Now that I'm older, I totally get it, and I understand why they did it, especially now that I, like, look back and think about the neighborhood I grew up in. It wasn't all that great. Like, it was safer than a lot of neighborhoods out there, but it was still kind of questionable. And, yeah, there's definitely a lot of questionable people living in that neighborhood.
Oh dear. So you feel like video games kind of like saved you in a way? Like that's kind of a far fetch, but like.
Oh yeah, that's rad.
Like I don't know, because like I feel like definitely I would have been a different person. I don't know what the hell is going on with this damn.
I would have been a very lost and depressed person if it weren't for like Final Fantasy in particular. But definitely, yeah, video games were a nice save.
Right.
Definitely.
I remember that I always used to be like, Mom, Dad, aren't you so glad that I stay in and play video games and I don't go out and like do drugs? And they were like, I mean, I guess. Like they couldn't really argue with it. Like they knew where I was at all times. Like it was chill.
Point there.
Yeah.
So my grandpa experience with video games was actually, I would say, either 1982 or 83. I started before I even like remember memories. Just from what I hear from like my older brother. So he's 3 years older than me, and he got video game consoles for us. Like my dad's an engineer, so he was always open to video games and computers and like anything like electronic tech. he was really cool about it back in the day. And so the first system that we had was an Atari 2600.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Um,
Sorry.
so I basically, before I could even really have the desire to talk, I was just playing games with my older brother. We were playing, competitive. We were playing like combat, just like sprites on a screen shooting pixels at each other and stuff. And or just like watching him play or taking turns with him and stuff on a little 13-inch black and white TV, maybe even a 9-inch. Like I don't even know how small these TVs were. Um, and then my first system, so we had 2600, and then my older brother upgraded to a 7800, which was backwards compatible. Um, and that was like my first experience with backwards compatibility, so I'm so passionate about that.
Oh,
But
hell
my
yeah.
first system, I was like, I want to say like 7 years old or 6, maybe, was a Sega Master System. One of my uncles had bought it for me
Oh my gosh.
as like a birthday present. Yeah, and that was totally like I became a huge hardcore Sega fan after that. It was like all these Sega arcade games were being converted to home console. And then my older brother got the NES, so we were definitely a multi-platform household.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I feel like I got the best experience, like ever as a game. Like I was born in the sweet spot as a gamer.
You kind of were, because like even all the games that we're going to talk about next week, I'm like, I have never heard of these games, but you're like, these games are classics. Like, how dare you? And I'm like, oh, I feel bad. Like, I wasn't alive, I don't think. But I just want to read some things from chat. Thank you for bearing with us. We're all fixed now. So Bojangles says that the first game was Altered Beast on Sega Genesis. And then Drown says possibly Retribution on the BBC. What's the BBC? Is that
British Broadcasting
I was
Company?
going to say, is that the British Broadcasting Channel? My first game by Gaming Nerd was Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, ? I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, so I didn't get anything of my own until the PS2. That's definitely a thing. And then, yeah, I think that's all the ones that we got in chat. So mine was the GameCube, so I think I started later than all of you guys, which is pathetic. But yeah, my parents just didn't want us to play video games, and they changed their mind. But I also want to know, what is the first game that you guys kind of like fell in love with as a child? Because like for me, Kingdom Hearts 2 was the one that I was like, I remember my brothers bringing it home from Target. Like they went to Target and they got like a few games. And I think games back then were maybe $20 instead of 60 like they are today. I don't remember. And I saw it and I was like, holy shit. And I played it so many times. I became so obsessed with it. I thought Sora was my boyfriend. I actually had it like in my mind. And I remember my mother, and even to this day, she'll be like, that damn Kingdom Hearts is what she always says. Because she'd be like, oh, is she playing that damn Kingdom Hearts again? Is what she would always say. But what's kind of the first game you fell in love with, Shadow?
That's really difficult because, like, I feel like I've been spoiled with games. Like, if it wasn't games that we had in our household, we had friends and neighbors in the same building that all had consoles and games. So we would like borrow each other's games and play each other's games. First game I fell in love with, I would say, like, there were a lot of games that I loved when they came out, especially like on the Atari. But I think Rambo for the Sega Master System. In the UK, it was released as Secret Command.
Oh, okay.
I would say that is the first time I really fell in love hardcore. It came out basically right after the second First Blood movie, so Rambo First Blood Part 2. And I was a huge like Rambo fan because I'm from Brooklyn.
Oh, hell yeah.
Killing people en masse is a lot of fun for my kid brain. And that was like the first real co-op experience that I had with my older brother trying to beat that game. That game was difficult. So it's like, co-op arcade style, kind of like Ikari Warriors. Like it's a vertical scrolling, 2 people with guns and arrows that you can use as like explosives. And it was really difficult and challenging. And like every time you beat a level, you get a sprite version of like a screenshot from the movie. So to us, that was like revolutionary. Like, look at these graphics. But if you look at it, like if you go on YouTube and you look it up, you're like, what is this? So this is like
I can make this on my Paint app.
Yeah, exactly. I could like draw this on my PC.
Oh my god. Just something said that actually kind of made me laugh just now in chat. Gaming Nerd says, "Does anyone's parents still generalize video games as Nintendo?"
I had
Dude,
so
I
many
just read
friends that
that.
had
That's
parents like that.
hilarious.
My
Thankfully,
mom
my
just says
parents
Kingdom
didn't.
Hearts. My mom's just like the damn Kingdom Hearts. Like she just like goes immediately to that. But
Every game is Kingdom Hearts.
pretty much, Vanessa, what's the first game that you fell in love with?
Oh, sorry, but like, first off, my parents call everything Final Fantasy. Doesn't
Do
matter if
they?
it has, yeah,
Oh
like
my
every
god.
game is Final Fantasy. Every game. It'll have like Ryan was playing the new Zelda, and they're like, "Oh, is that a new Final Fantasy game?" I'm like, "No, it's Zelda."
Jesus.
They're like, "No, it's Final Fantasy." I'm like,
My
"Oh,
mom does
it's
that
Final
too though, because she's like, it's Kingdom Hearts, and I'm like, Mom, it's not Kingdom Hearts, but okay.
Fantasy." Um, as far as like first video game I fell in love with though, I'd have to say it's the Goof Troop game on the Super Nintendo. It was
Oh man,
Wow.
it was so much fun. You get like shipwrecked and you're on an island. You have to fight these pirates. It's a lot of fun. They also like you're allowed to fish in that game too, which is kind of fun because in a lot of games these days you get it like fishing's like a mini game and shit.
Right.
But you get like this grappling gun item. Like you can only carry 2 items, but you pick up this grappling gun item and then you aim it at the water. And the moment a fish hops out, you just like shoot that grappling gun out, and then it catches a fish for you. And then you have a fish in your inventory that you could like throw at your enemies. It's great.
That's kind of awesome, just like slapping people with fish in a video game. I'm
Yeah.
surprised we haven't gone there these days
Yes.
with like Final
shout out
Fantasy
to
15.
Disney during the 16-bit era because they put out amazing games that were so good. The PS4 and I believe Xbox and Switch also have a collection called Disney Afternoon Collection, which is like DuckTales and like a couple of other games, Lion King, I think, and Aladdin. And again, like Goof Troop was part of that. Like Disney put
Oh,
out amazing games back then on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo.
that's insane.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
do remember that because they had like Tarzan and shit too, didn't they?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Basically, every Disney movie had a game. Little Mermaid, like I'm sure she had a game.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I actually did play this Disney Princess game. Oh my god. I will never I was like 16 too, and it was a Wii game. I think it took 2 hours to beat, and it was actually one of the most fun games I've ever played. But like yeah, Disney knows how to make video games sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time, but um I do want to tell a funny story about my parents' experience with video games. They told me this and I laughed so hard. So my parents kind of were like, "What's up with this video game shit? Like we don't get it." And so they said when we went to bed one night, they played our GameCube and they played a Harry Potter game that we had bought, like Chamber of Secrets, and they like were trying to figure it out and they couldn't do it. And they said that like the basilisk came and like snapped at them and they were like freaking out and they just turned off the game and they were like, yeah. And I'm just like imagining my like little parents like trying to play this game and being like, ah, like while we're all in bed, and it's just like so funny to me. But
Oh, that is so great.
oh, they're ridiculous. But we do have a couple comments. So Drown says that my dad was a gamer. Most of the games that we have were because he bought them for the BBC. I think we're just a ton of adventures on BBC that I loved. Oh, I always wish I had a gaming parent. Did you guys have gaming parents? Because Shadow, you said your siblings were the gamers.
Yeah, like my dad's an engineer. He finger pecks on a keyboard. He's not like he loves computers and tech. He's just so intimidated by them. He's definitely not a gamer. He's way too old for that.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it was just me and my big brother at first.
What about you, Vanessa?
Oh no, my dad's like in his 70s.
Go.
That's like after his time, I think. Is that the right phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
my dad
He's not much of a
like
gamer.
World War II, so same thing.
Right. And we have a
Yeah.
couple more like first video games. So Gaming Nerd says I'd say Final Fantasy X or Kingdom Hearts was the first game I really fell in love with, and Ocarina of Time, which are all three very, very good games. I feel like a lot of people had those three, at least the people we know, as their
Yes.
experience. Yeah. And then Chiji said something, and I can't find it now. Oh, God.
Is it?
Oh,
is
Jackson
Pretty-
Dexter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jackson Dexter.
Jackson Dexter. And then Lieutenant said that The Lion King was hard as fuck. The Lion King had a video game?
Yeah, Super Nintendo and
And
Sega Genesis.
Jeez.
Yep, there's also a computer game too.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's funny. Yeah, I didn't. It's just crazy. They don't really make too many video games now, Disney, except like Kingdom Hearts, but is that even Disney?
Right.
You
Yeah.
could play anything right now if you wanted to on whatever console you have.
Wait, say that again?
It's on You can play Lion King if you wanted to. It's on that Disney Afternoon collection.
Oh, okay. That's insane. Yeah. 1 second.
Nice.
I'm gonna ask, and I'm still listening. So, leading on to the first game we fell in love with, since this is mostly Final Fantasy, what is the first Final Fantasy game you did play? And Vanessa, I'm gonna have you start while I turn on my lamp.
Oh, 10. 10 was the first Final Fantasy game that I played. And totally started with like me watching my oldest sister's boyfriend at the time play it. And then one day he was just like, do you want to play? And he let me have my own save file and everything. It was great. It was awesome.
I remember you
like,
telling me a story where you used to put drapes around your arms and do something. I would love for you to tell everyone that.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I used to take like my mom's like curtains and just like try to like wrap it around my shoulders to make it look like Yuna's like little arm hangings from her kimono, and I just like spin in circles. Mom thought I was so weird.
Just like my child is performing
Oh,
satanic
childhood.
rituals. What is happening?
No, I'm sending the dead, Mom. Leave me alone.
I'm doing the opposite, yeah.
I'm doing the exact opposite of summoning the dead. I'm sending them back to where they came from.
Oh my gosh.
But like, I remember though when I first got that game, like, playing Final Fantasy X led me to begging my dad for a PS2, and so when I finally got it, I remember playing that game and I was able to go past the save file I had on my sister's boyfriend's memory card, and from that point I didn't know what to do or where to go, and I got stuck. I got like terribly stuck in Operation Mi'ihen. It was so horrible.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Shadow, what about you?
Well, the first Final Fantasy I played was the first.
Oh, right.
Like, so as a gamer, starting with a game like on an Atari, where game sessions or the entire game lasts like minutes, like 5 minutes is you can basically explore the entire game in 5 minutes. Back in those days, these were like instant gratification arcade types.
Right.
Then into like The Legend of Zelda, thinking that was a huge evolutionary jump in gaming, and then seeing Final Fantasy as an evolutionary jump from Zelda was like insane. It was mind blowing because I just couldn't believe that they could fit like such a huge game that was so long and so much to do in one cartridge. Like in my head, I was like, they would need like an entire room sized cartridge to fit like this. How did they do it? I was amazed by it.
Wow.
Oh, right.
Touching on what? I'm sorry. What'd you say, Vanessa?
Oh, I was gonna ask you, did you have like a Game Boy or a Game Boy Color growing up?
It basically had every console that's ever come out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Game Boy was mine, and that was the reward actually for getting straight A's.
Oh,
So I got
I love that.
so like playing Final Fantasy on the Game Boy was cool. Playing Mario Land, somebody had mentioned it in chat. I love my Game Boy,
Mario Land.
especially because we used to take lots of road trips, and you know, I got the Game Boy far earlier than the Game Gear, and so I was already used to like having to buy batteries and stuff all the time. But yeah, but touching on what you were saying earlier, Vanessa, about dressing up and stuff. So I had a bunch of friends in the neighborhood, and we were all playing Final Fantasy IV on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, like we'd go to each other's house and only play when we were all together so that we can all follow the story. And
Oh, cool.
and then there were times when like let's say one of us was not allowed to play games for whatever reason, we instead would hang out and then role play. We would play like pretend basically. We'd be like role playing out Final Fantasy IV, and like I had like a makeshift knight costume or like a cardboard dragoon costume that I made with like magic marker. Yeah,
That's so dope.
it was so
I
much
want to
fun.
see pictures. Did you guys take pictures?
Oh no, hell no.
Oh,
Hell no.
damn it.
We were aware of our dorkiness.
If I was a mother, I would literally be out there like, oh my god, like videotaping it and just being like, this is
Right.
amazing. Like I would be so happy if my child.
Actually, like we were
Peeking over the
shamed for it.
windowsill, like,
You were shamed for it.
We were shamed for it because like we were all like minority kids, and like our parents were all about like, what are you doing? Why are you dressing up? You should be like studying science and math and becoming a doctor.
Oh my gosh.
Is the periodic table memorized yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Like,
my
did you
gosh.
memorize the multiplication table before you playing like as a Dark Knight?
Dude, it's so funny that you say that because I had to convince my dad to get me a PS2 by way of saying, "Oh, look, playing this RPG is helping me expand my vocabulary. Look
It
at the new
does.
words I learned."
It does.
And
It's
like,
I
immersion.
will say this. Whenever I have a cousin or some kind of kid, especially when they have trouble reading, but they have no interest in reading or can't find books that they can get into, I tell them two things. One, watch anime with subtitles. Two, play RPGs. Like that will like totally improve your reading hundredfold, and I'm a huge believer in that.
Oh no, I've done research over
mhm.
that. Like it's 100% true. Like I'm such a nerd about it that I did research and I so my boyfriend is Dutch and he said that he learned English by playing RuneScape. And that is like the
Oh,
cutest
That's
story
so
to me.
nice.
awesome.
When he was little, because like in Belgium you have to learn French when you're like 7, and he already knew Dutch natively, and then he had to learn English when he was 12. And so he said that he was playing RuneScape and he would learn it because like people would type messages and he would like translate it, and then he said that the biggest thing was the pictures. When you hovered over it, it would have the word. And so he learned all these words by just manipulating the game. And now to this day he's so fluent, like he doesn't miss a beat with English. It's like a thing where it's like almost native to him, and he says it's because he's like played games with people and he had to play games with like subtitles. So it's I used him as like my case study because he's such an example of that. So um
Shoot,
I have a lot
that's
of friends
dope.
from Europe. Like we used to play first person shooters, and like we would be on voice chat. We would play like Half Life type of games, and a lot of them were from like Belgium or the Netherlands or like Scandinavia, and their English got so good over the years just from being on voice chat, just from doing things like
100%.
Discord.
It's really an immersive way to learn languages. I think if anyone wants to learn a language that isn't English, they should switch to the different language because it. I remember he recently was learning Japanese and he did switch things to Japanese and now he can like read Japanese really well. And then Chi
Yes.
just said, reading is not for me, man. Well, that's the thing. So I always like tell people, like, oh, I don't like reading, but I love video games. And I'm like, honestly, video games are such a literary experience with them themselves because not only are you reading, you're also using your audio literacy skills, you're using your language skills, and you're also applying all that knowledge critically. So, like, in my opinion, I think that video games are reading, but that's something
Teacher
that.
Hylia in action right
I
now.
know. Well, I used it in my classroom. But anyways,
Literature major.
oh my! I know I've done so much research
Today's
over it.
lesson is brought to you by Miss Hylia.
I know. I do have some other questions. So, this is a weird one, just because like I had this as a kid. I don't know if you guys did. I had really strict parents. So, my parents had really strict rules against video games because they did not want us to be gamers. So the rule I had. So my question is, did you guys have any like rules that you had to abide by? So like my parents, we could only play video games for an hour a day, and my brothers and I shared consoles, so we'd be fighting over who got it first. Like, I want to play first. I'm playing like Final Fantasy 13, or like this was a thing until I went to college. Also, we were not allowed to play R-rated games, so my mother had to check every game that we got to make sure it was not R-rated, or like or like M-rated or whatever you call it. So, did you guys have any of that?
I mean, me, no, not really. Like
Oh,
growing up, my parents. Sorry.
you guys
My
suck.
parents my parents both worked in casinos growing up, so they were always like not home when we were home.
Yeah.
So they didn't really see a lot of the video games we were playing. Like they didn't know what Grand Theft Auto is really about
Oh my
and
god.
what we would do in Grand Theft Auto.
My mother hated that game. If you like, that was like the big one for her. She was like, "No Grand Theft Auto," because she like heard horror stories about. My mother was censored us quite a bit, which for good reason. Shadow, did you have any like weird rules that your parents did with that?
No, so basically, my mom died when I was really young,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad was very like I was pretty independent as a kid, and my dad was very cool. His only rule in the house was, as long as you're getting straight A's, I don't care what you're doing. Just don't get yourself hurt and keep your grades up. So he was very hands off, and video games didn't have ratings for a huge part of my early gaming life.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember there were no ratings ever in games. And then I remember the first day I watched someone play Mortal Kombat at the arcades.
Oh my god.
And I was like, holy crap, he just burned a guy down to his skeleton. This is effing awesome. And like, I was totally obsessed with like violent video games and stuff, and Doom, especially like things that back then were considered very like graphic and controversial, and like, oh my god, you're going to turn into a serial killer, and I was like, no, you're not. Get out of here. Um, my dad used to like in passing see me play some things, and like he would have questions like, did you just decapitate somebody? And I would say, yeah, and he'd be like, wow, that looks so unrealistic. He would say, you know,
Oh,
like he would laugh at how humorously unrealistic it looked. It
yeah.
was a lot more realistic in that sense. Like his mind was more like he's probably seen real decapitations back in the day. Like so he knows like whatever he's seeing on the TV screen is like silly. It's like Tom and Jerry for him.
Right, and that's something I think my parents just didn't know about because they obviously were not gamers and never will. But it's funny because the chat instantly had some things going about this because Chiji says my parents were so strict with games that it wasn't until college where I could cut loose, and so I was late to a lot of things. I feel like that's a lot of people's experiences, especially in the States, like in the Midwest. Oh my God. Lieutenant also says, I had the strictest of parents. I wasn't allowed to play anything rated T until I was 15 or 16, and they had to be pre approved. Shit, I don't have anything to complain about. And then Lieutenant also said, my first rated PG-13 movie I watched was The Preacher at school, and I was 17. And then Drown says, my parents let me read Viz when I was 11. Not quite sure what Viz's US equivalent would be. Mad Magazine, but far more sweary and less puerile. Yeah, my parents were like, hell no. But Chiji, oh, I definitely read a lot of manga. Must be the pictures, oh, for the reading. So then another thing I had to ask was, I have like some not interesting. I just have like think the fondest memories over handheld games, like my DS, like hiding it under my pillow when my mom would check if I was sleeping. I think everybody has that story. So I remember my first handheld game was a Game Boy Color, and my grandmother gave it to me because she's actually a Space Invader freak. She loves Space Invaders. She will sit there all day, and she like won't even hear us, and she'll play Space Invaders on the Atari. She doesn't do it anymore, but it had my Game Boy Advance, or no, Game Boy Color had Pikachu's on it, and I was so happy to get it, and that was my first one. But the big one I always played was the DS, and I remember always playing it when my parents were sleeping. But do you guys have any like handheld stories or handheld game stories?
Oh yeah, I got a purple Game Boy Color,
Ah!
and then
That purple joint was the bomb.
it was the best. I bought it with my allowance and everything. It was the coolest thing in the whole entire world. And then like I grew up and I wasn't playing it anymore, so I gave it to my baby cousin who didn't
Aw.
take care of it and lost it in a flood
Jeez.
along with all of the games I gave her. Like I had all of the original Pokemon cartridges and a couple Pokemon cards. Like I had a holographic Entei card in the case I gave her too. Yeah, it's okay. I
Damn.
still love her.
I would
I
cry.
still love her.
Yeah.
I still love her. But then also like during that time before I got my Game Boy, my sister let me use hers and something happened to it, like overheated. I don't know what happened,
Oh
but it
no.
like it didn't like explode, but it like turned off and it wouldn't turn back on, and I freaked out and I didn't know what to do, so I ran to my dad and like I gave it to him. He was like, "Oh, you just need to change the batteries." And I was like, "What's batteries?" Because I was
Oh my
like 8
god.
or
Yeah.
7. I didn't know what that was, and I was like crying, having a meltdown, thinking my sister was gonna kill me because I didn't know what batteries were.
Oh
So
god. I forgot that you had to like change batteries on a lot of these. Like it wasn't a rechargeable battery.
yeah.
Shadow, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, like the Game Boy. I'm trying to think. Like, was there anything? Yeah, like I had a Game and Watch. So Nintendo used to make Game and Watch handheld
No way.
devices. Yeah, and mine was a vertically folding Mario like factory game, um, and like Tiger handheld games. Like these are like very old school, like basic LCD games that also had like clocks on them and stuff. And they used to use like little round lithium like watch batteries. The Game Boy was my first like major handheld, but I had like I think I was 7 with my first Game and Watch. So like getting the feel of handheld games just felt natural to me. And then when I got the Game Boy, my first thing was like I have to worry about batteries because I already had that experience. So I bought like this battery backup that the Game Boy had, which was like you plug it into the wall and charge it, just like you have battery backups now, like the USB ones that you can plug your phone into when you run out of juice.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like that. The Game Boy had one. It was like a little brick, and you would charge it, and then you could plug it into your Game Boy and run your Game Boy off that.
I think
If
I
you didn't have
remember
double A.
that.
Yeah,
I think like my brothers had that too because I remember them. My brothers are way more into handheld than I ever was, and I remember them having all the accessories like that. So I think they did have that, but
and it's so funny because like my Game Boy experience, like it started with just having a Game Boy, but the Game Boy lasted so long. By the time I switched to a Game Boy Color, I had like 16 accessories. I had this one like monster accessory, like if you can imagine the Game Boy in your mind, like holding it in your hand. I had this accessory that was like, it turned it into Optimus Prime. Like
oh
you
my
plug
gosh.
this like giant speaker attachment on the bottom that plugs into the headphone port. So now you have these giant speakers that are playing the music. Then you've got like a magnifying glass to make the screen quote unquote bigger, and then that had this like foldable light on top of it, so you have an actual light to play at night. And so at the end, once you hook all this up, it looks like a goddamn like Power Ranger kind of thing. Like your Game Boy is now 3 times the size just to like amplify the sound and the screen and to add some light.
Oh my
It was really
gosh.
funny.
I was gonna say, remember? So I remember specifically the Game Boy Advance when that came out. I don't know why I have this clear memory in my head, but you know those like little lights that you had to like attach to the top that would like
Yep,
shine a light?
exactly. And that
Yeah.
started with the Game Boy.
Oh my god, I remember that because I remember just being so frustrated I couldn't play Pokemon like during the night because I had to have that damn light and it would wake up my brother because he was in the same room as me, and he would be like, "Put that away! I'm gonna tell mom." He was such a snitch. And so like, oh my god, and this is like so. I love how much people are talking right now in chat, and like, this makes me feel so happy, like kind of reminiscing on this type of stuff. So I hope you guys are experiencing the same.
Oh, yeah.
I do have there is a few comments. So Lieutenant says, I had the NES with a bunch of games. We bought it like the year it came out with the Mario Duck Hunt combo. Ooh, Mario and Duck Hunt with the gun. My parents gave it away to my cousins when they bought us a Sega Genesis. Years later, and my uncle pawned it off for alcohol. Such a waste. Oh no. And then I see some conversations about the Switch in here. Even though the Switch is not our childhood handheld game, I really like the way Nintendo has progressed in their handhelds with the Switch. The Switch is one of my favorite consoles for sure, and I'm like so jealous of kids these days that can like have the Switch but also plug it in and make it like bigger. You know, like we did not get that experience. I don't know about you guys.
Right? Those little punks.
I know, because
Have it
I'm just
so
like,
easy.
well, then it's funny. So I'm a teacher, and I did a Minecraft unit with my kids, but we didn't have Minecraft in Kosovo. Like, it just could not be downloaded on our computers. It wasn't available in the country. So I downloaded it on my Switch, and they all played the Switch, and that thing is so versatile and amazing. I love the Switch so much, it saved my life. So, like, they would all have the little controllers, and I had to teach them how to play it. It was so cute. Drown says that we had 2 Game Boys. My dad painted one of them. Ooh, I would like to know how he painted them.
Yeah, I want to see it so bad.
Yeah, they definitely had some interesting designs. And then Bajangle says, I miss Game Boy games. I do too.
Right?
Oh, Evil Tux is in here. Hello. I'm just reading through that stuff. But so, and then another question's kind of leading into this. Is there any of these consoles that you guys had as children that you still have today? So, like, I think the only one that I have that's original from my childhood that I didn't go and rebuy was my PS2, because it was actually my brother's. It was for his birthday. And I remember last summer, I went home to my parents' house and I was like, oh, I'm just looking for my 3DS if it's still there. And my mom saved all of them. She saved all of our consoles, and we had no idea.
Oh.
She just like saved all of them in a box, and I was like, oh my god, Mom, you saved
saved
all of
all your
these? Huh?
Best.
saved all your Kingdom Hearts, quote unquote.
She did. She saved them all, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And because I thought for sure she threw them away, she gave them away, and she would like looked at me and she's like, "They weren't mine to give away," and I was like so touched by that because my mother was so against video games. But so I have my original PS2. I don't have my Game Boy, my Pikachu Game Boy Color. I don't know where the fuck that thing has disappeared to. I have my original DS, my original 3DS. I think that's it, because I went and I rebought a PS1 to play Final Fantasy, and like, oh no, the Wii, I guess, but that wasn't really childhood. So, do you guys still have your original gaming consoles? Anybody in chat too?
I have everything.
Everything? Oh yeah, you did tell me you have like piles of shit.
Think of a console. Think of a game. Even stuff that like Well, anything that I originally bought, I still have.
Really?
And then even things that I like the Wonder Swan, which is only in Japan, like I have that now. I have huge collector. It's a bad problem, but yes, I have everything.
That's awesome. I really wish I did have everything because I don't think I have.
I also have a Space Invaders arcade, so like you should totally bring your was it your grandma? Bring her over and like play Space Invaders.
Oh, she is so obsessed. I remember my dad told a story where he was like, one time I got in a really bad like outside accident and I came in and I was bleeding and she was like playing Space Invaders and we couldn't get her attention. She like was that into it. And I remember we got an Atari at like Walmart because they were reselling them and with all the games and yeah, she played that game like for the whole weekend I was with her. So, Vanessa, do you have any of your original stuff?
Yeah, we have like everything still. I think the only thing my sister and I ever really gave away were our Game Boys to our cousin in the Philippines.
Oh,
But she's still holding on to the N64, the Super Nintendo, and the Sega, and I still have my PS2,
oh my
which isn't
goodness.
like it's in great condition, minus the fact that the little like disc tray has like this plate in front of it that fell off, and I can't
Oh,
find it anywhere. But it's working.
oh my gosh. It's amazing how like I feel like the older ones had a little bit more durability than the newer ones. Am I the only
Oh
one?
yeah.
Yeah, cuz like my
No, I was
PS,
having a
huh?
conversation the other day. Like, moving parts and hotter components on more modern consoles. Like older consoles didn't really generate heat, and they didn't have moving parts. Like you had cartridges. You didn't have a laser to spin a disc and stuff. So yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
true, yeah,
Yeah, there's
because
that.
I'm like my PS1, I could throw it against a wall and it would still be fine. Like it's just so durable, and my GameCube as
Yeah.
well. Like those things will never die.
Shout out to the original Game Boy. If you go to the Nintendo World Store in New York City, on display they have an original Game Boy which survived Iraq. It was
Oh my
in an
god.
explosion in an IQ. Yeah, and so if you look at it, the outer casing is like black char and like melted and like bubbled up and stuff, but it's still playing Tetris. It's running Tetris on the screen. It
Oh
works.
my god.
So
It's
yeah,
awesome.
and it's totally on display. So that speaks to the resilience of like Nintendo's manufacturing even back then.
That's
Mhm.
amazing. I've always wanted to go to that
Mhm.
store. I was so upset we couldn't go in April, but some people said so. Drown says that my PS2 is in the next room. And then Bajangle says I have my Game Boy Advance, my SP, and my PS3. Shadow, that was you. La 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 la. Evil Tux says, hello, Evil Tux, by the way. I rarely sold anything of mine. Only things I ever did was maybe certain handhelds when they made a newer model, which is understandable.
Makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, and then Drowned also says that he still has all of his things. So um,
Hell yeah.
I feel like they're so nostalgic. I would hate to get rid of them. Like I just like hoard them. I know I'm not like using them very often, but it's hard to get rid of them. Um,
Mhm.
so, and then I kind of wanted to like shift from childhood to teenager, like coming of age as you're about to go to college, kind of in high school. Was there any video games that you guys played that kind of like, because I feel like that time is so sensitive when you're like about to go to college and you just like don't know who you are and like your childhood's over. Like you realize that. I know for me it was probably the Final Fantasy series. I really started getting into it when I was a little older. I was 16 when I played like 7 and 10. Oh no, I was a little younger at 10. 7, 7, 7. What else did I play? 7, 13, not 15. Oh my god. I can't think of my numbers straight. I played a few when I was 16. And those like really kind of, I don't know, they kind of just made me feel better. Is there anything like that with you guys?
Um, I my case is kind of weird. I went to like a college high school hybrid my last
Ooh,
2 years of high school. Yeah, it was great. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but it was
yeah,
great.
for real.
But same case as you, like in that bridge of life, I definitely went back to Final Fantasy games for sure. I think I replayed 12 and 8 during those first 2 years, just like back to back. Because it was nice. Like you go to college, everything's so uncertain. You don't know who you are. You're trying to figure out what you want to study because it's going to pretty much determine the rest of your life. Well, that's how I felt. And
Yeah, of
the
course.
uncertainty really gave me a lot of anxiety. So replaying old games, like all of the Final Fantasy games I played in my early teens, like kind of gave me a sense of comfort because I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, that's kind of true because it just feels it feels comfortable. It feels like home, and you're like just everything's so out of control in your head, and we almost like revert back to what we used to play. But what about you, Shadow?
Totally.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh.
I have to think about the question. Like, well, what the heck do you consider coming of age? Like,
I mean, I
still
guess
feel
like when you're about to
feel
leave
like I'm
home.
we're fucking Mario PJs. Like, I haven't grown up.
Yeah. When you're not a child anymore, you have to be an adult, or you have to like fend for yourself in the world. I guess I don't know.
To me, there's two degrees of adulthood. Like, one is the legal age, like 18 to 21. I definitely was an adult at that point. I feel like until I was 25. Like, if the U.S. government tomorrow said, you can't drive, you can't drink, you can't smoke, none of that stuff until you're officially 25, and then you're like a full-on adult, I'd be okay with that because there's still so much learning you're doing right after high school, in college, and really, it's not until you're 25 that like you're starting to feel a lot more settled and have some understanding more about the world. So for me, it's a difficult question. But I would say if I would consider coming of age like more traditionally, then that would be like PS1 era into PS2, and at that point, like gaming had matured exponentially because you were getting like cutscenes and games like Resident Evil with like like the first one had live action and blood and guts and all that stuff. So it's real difficult to say because for me it's more like a generation was part of my coming of age, more so than just a game. And there were
Yeah.
so many games in childhood that even matured me because the stories and the plots were very mature. So I don't know, like if you would ask me about coming of age, I would talk about the PS1 generation for sure, like
Interesting.
PS1, Saturn, PS2, and 64, like that transitional time period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you
It's
have a huge point.
you
Sorry.
do. No, it's really hard because like some people, like I don't know. I don't even know what a word for it is. I don't want to say an adult because there's such a not blurred line, but like a gray area of what an adult is. But and like childhood kind of ends like that. I don't know. I guess that's what I kind of meant. But no, I get what you mean. Like it's so hard. I don't know because even now we struggle with it because you just like stop being a kid. Like you just realize one day, oh shit, I'm not a kid anymore. Like I have to pay for my rent. It's just it happens so fast. Huh?
The hell is auto insurance?
I know. Like literally this month, it was like when me and Sam got back from our trip, and we had to pay all of our bills, and I was like, when did this happen? Like when did some comments from chat. Brett says that I played Persona 4 during my first semester of college, and it really helped with my feeling of loneliness and the transition into adulthood. That's a good word for it. Transition into adulthood. And for that, it's one of the most important games I've played. That's really interesting. Chi says my coming of age game was Kingdom Hearts. That was my childhood game. Drown says Chrono Trigger. La 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 la. What else? Drowned Summer says to be concerned about being grown up, to admire the grown up because it is grown up, to blush at the suspicion of being childish. These things are the marks of childhood and adolescence. When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be my very own grown up. Definitely straight over here because of Sephiroth. Oh, that was you, Vanessa?
Sorry, that was...
No, it's just like, confusing because you guys are the same color. So I was like, and you both start with a D, so I like didn't differentiate. Oh God. So I have like 2 more questions, and then we're gonna go into our activity. Arcades. So, I mean, did you guys go to arcades as a kid?
Oh, hell yeah.
You did?
All the
Okay.
time.
Because I'm like, I didn't. What?
You
What,
would
Shadow?
just talking about Vanessa, like her parents worked at casinos. Like I loved casino arcades.
Oh, yeah. They're so, God, they're the best. Because those resorts have the money to get all the good games,
Oh, hell yeah. No,
So...
I didn't start going to arcades until I was an adult. I remember being a full-ass adult, and suddenly the phenomenon of, like, arcade bars. And that's when I started going to arcades. Like, I just never, like, did as a kid. I don't think we had one in our town, actually. Maybe Chuck E. Cheese, but like my mom hated Chuck E. Cheese. I hate Chuck E. Cheese too. But yeah, I think I was an adult because like even today, like we have an arcade bar down in Glasgow that is really tiny, but oh my God, I love it. They're starting to become more popular over here. And then back in my hometown, we have a really popular one with like every game in existence. It's huge. But I mean, I don't know what was an arcade like as a kid. Tell me your like stories.
Logic.
Here, I'll start with Shadow. You go ahead first.
Okay, I was just thinking about it earlier today because I've been driving all day. But so in my experience, growing up in the eras that I did, there were three types of arcade experiences. One would be like New York City or Japan. I feel like that's where arcades really flourished because I think what I would identify as that like extreme arcade influence would be like if you could have a random store in a neighborhood with an arcade right outside that's like bolted to the gate of the store. Like the like store owner just put an arcade, to try to make some money. Like when you see arcades randomly everywhere like that, like that's when you know like okay, now you're in a place that's heavily influenced by arcade. New York had tons of that. New York City everywhere. Like a lot of arcades were vandalized like when they were outside, kept outside, but even places that didn't make sense, like there would be stores that had nothing to do with video games that had an arcade inside. Laundromats always had arcades.
Really?
Some doctors' offices had arcades. Like they were always used as a way to make money and distract kids for places that adults had to be. So, like all the old school arcade games when they came out, I was playing them because they were there. There was like a Russian restaurant which like mobsters would go to right downstairs, right across the street from my building. I would go in the front lobby and they'd have like all the freshest games always. Like Double Dragon when it first came out, boom, I was there playing the arcades, like not paying attention to the gangsters going upstairs right
Oh my
behind me.
gosh. That's insane because it was not like that for me as a kid. Like, you had to go to like Chuck E. Cheese or like some,
So that's another, yeah, that's another
Yeah.
like the pizza place, the Chuck E. Cheese, like that was the second, and I only experienced those out of state. Only when we would go on road trips and I would go like out of state did I even know those kind of places existed. And the third, which is probably like very fun to me specifically, is uh, highway rest stops. So a lot of people in the U.S. like a rest stop is just a bathroom, but back in the day, at least along the major East Coast highway, every rest stop had an arcade room that like you would go to use the bathroom, there'd be some kind of food or something, and then there was the game room and they had like the latest and greatest. They always had a shooter, always had a driving game, and then always had, like whatever was majorly popular
Right.
and made.
That's insane.
So I would always tell my dad like, hey, I gotta pee, but I didn't have to pee, I just wanted to like get a couple of quarters and play a game.
Oh my God, that's so cute though. I love that.
That was
Vanessa.
the first time I played Ninja Turtles. Sorry,
Oh no,
I
you're
just wanted
fine.
to add.
Oh, nice.
That's so
Yeah.
cute. Vanessa, what was your experience with arcades?
Oh God, they were everywhere growing up.
Oh
Cause
God,
like,
you guys suck.
I'm sorry. They were definitely like, cause like I said, I grew up around casinos and shit, and adults needed somewhere to put their kids when they'd go to a
Ready?
casino. So there was a lot of that growing up. Definitely, got a lot of good memories. We always like stuck with racing games though when I was a
Really?
kid. Yeah, like my sister and I, we were always on like playing Initial D, or like I remember when Fast and Furious came out with their arcade games, and then those were there at the casino arcades and stuff, and we always played that. Did not help with our driving at all, but like
I was gonna
definitely the
say with those games, I always pretended like I was driving. I was like when I did was able to play them. I remember like always being like, I'm driving. Like
yeah.
yeah.
I remember my sister used to give me so much shit for always having the car in automatic because I didn't want to deal with the shifter.
Oh yeah.
And I like regret it because I don't know how to drive a manual and it's lame.
Oh God, no Americans do. It's not a
I
problem though.
would say my driving I've learned from video games. So like
Really?
when I took my road test and stuff, and the guy was like, "Man, you're pretty good with like understanding like geometry and being comfortable in your car and having it be an extension of you." He's like, "Have you taken classes or anything?" And I'd be like, "No, I played a lot of Outrun and like pole position and like like racing and cruising USA and stuff."
That's insane. Yeah, because like nowadays I go to the bar and I play all the like, or no, actually, when I was 17, I went to California and I had a boyfriend at the time living there, and he showed me this place called Player One. I don't know, maybe Vanessa, you're familiar with it since it's West Coast. It's called Player One. It's like a huge arcade. It's amazing. It's so cool. it was like heaven for me. I was 17 and I was like, oh my god. But I remember I got really into Tekken with arcades, like fighting games.
Nice.
Yeah, oh, I love Tekken. I am like a whore for Tekken. I'm like, oh, but yeah, I got really into Tekken because of arcade games. And even like when I go to like the barcades, I'll go straight to Street Fighter because I feel like I just really like playing them in the art. And I even, okay, so another funny story. Because we didn't have arcades in Kansas, I did buy like an arcade stick for my Xbox to play Tekken.
Yes.
Yeah, and I still have it actually. It's at my parents' house, and I remember I put Hello Kitty stickers all over it to make it like more girly because it was like green and ugly, and I was like, yeah. So I had like this like arcade stick, yeah, to play Tekken. So.
Oh, that is so dope! Oh my god, the fighting games are so much fun.
I love fighting games. I remember I used to like look in the manuals for like combos and like practice them nonstop. That's like was my high school experience with games other than Final Fantasy.
Playing a fighting game arcade and not knowing moves or fatalities or anything.
Yeah, yeah, and you just button mashed.
Oh god, I was a button masher. It was so bad. Oh, another crazy arcade game we always played was like Dance Dance Revolution. Like we used to
yes. Yo, I had the mats at home though. Like I had like the little mats because we didn't have arcades. So I remember like my mother would like have us play that all the time to get like some energy out in the winter. She'd be like, "Go play DDR." Like so. And my friends, we would like play it at parties. I think I still have the mats as well now that we're talking about. Oh man, I wish I could do that here, but like my neighbor would kill me. So my downstairs.
You live on the top floor.
Yes. Oh god, yeah.
If you ever wanted to really piss him off.
I mean, I already play like my Ring Fit, what is it? The Nintendo Ring Fit, and you have to like run in place, and he like is banging on the ceiling, so I can't do it anymore, which is sad because it's an expensive game. But I did have a last question, but then I realized you guys already kind of answered it. But if you want to add to it, so I was like, what characters did you pretend to be as kids? So Shadow, you said that you guys kind of reenacted Final Fantasy IV in your neighborhood, and then Vanessa, you were Yuna. What Shadow?
I said I would love playing as Sid and Yang, even though I mostly played as Kain.
Oh, so you were always Kain.
Usually I was Kain, but I would love the chances to play as Sid or Yang.
Oh my gosh. I always pretended I was Kairi, like all the time. Like I was like, I'm Kairi. I'm going to dye my hair red. And like, I think I tried to cut my hair so many times to look like Kairi. So, oh, Bobo! Oh no, Bobo's like, I missed most of the show. That's okay, Bobo. We have one more activity, so you're not too late. But Vanessa, do you have any other characters you pretended to be and put curtains on your body to look like them? That's my favorite story by you.
Oh god. No, I think just Yuna. I really wanted to be Yuna, like growing up, all the time.
I love Yuna.
And then like maybe Renoa-ish.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I always had a dog, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna rename you Angelo now. Sorry, you are no longer Lucky. You are Angelo.
That poor dog is so confused. Just like, what is my name?
Having a meltdown and identity crisis.
Oh god. Some people said, so Chi-Ji said I was a Sith Lord when I was a kid, always Darth Maul. That's an interesting choice actually.
Hell yeah.
And then this was a fun episode. I feel happy. But we do have another activity, a little small one. So we were talking about, because Vanessa has a whole bunch of like suggestions for us, and we had to come up with something quick because we didn't have our full cast here. Oh god, we were gonna talk about jobs. So like we were gonna talk about the Final Fantasy jobs and kind of identify each other with the different jobs. Am I explaining that correctly, Vanessa? I feel like
no, you're explaining it beautifully.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna think about, because we don't want to talk about each one, but like think about the jobs and kind of like what do we think we are, but like what do we think each other are. So like Vanessa, I feel like you would be, I don't know, I feel like you'd be like a white mage or like a healer of some sort, like because you're just so like, you're such a fixer and just like so like calm and stuff. But what do you think, Shadow? What would Vanessa be?
I think she would be a white mage, especially considering like how Final Fantasy IV had offensive white magic, like Pearl, aka Holy, or Muddle, aka Confuse. I feel like totally like if some jerk shows up at the bar, then she would like cast Confuse on him and then like cast Holy on him and banish him.
Oh yeah, all the time, easy. Here you go. Here's an AMF. Now you're confused.
Oh my god. I was gonna say, I could see her, like, healing everyone, then, like, smacking someone in the face with her staff, kind of like Aerith. We're like...
See, I see her more using a bow as a white mage.
What?
I see her more as a white mage who uses a bow.
Oh, I could see that too. Like, what do you
like
think?
that.
What do you think of yourself, Vanessa? I should have asked that first. Like, what do you think you would be?
Oh god. Well, like, I don't know. I kind of want to be a tank because I like to just
shit!
I mean, like, when I'm angry or if I am in a fight, I like to smash things and I just like to go ham on it, you know, and I just want to, like, you know, get out all the
Catch
aggression.
these hands!
Catch these hands!
But yeah, like, I can see where the white mage comes from, especially because, like, you know, as a kid I wanted to be Yuna and she was a white mage, so I feel that.
Right. All right. For Shadow, I had to really think about this one. I feel like, I don't know, me, I'm like Scholar because he's so old and wise and knows everything.
Right.
Flattering. I like that.
What do you think, Vanessa?
Dude, I was gonna say a dragoon.
Ooh, well, yeah, I was gonna go with that one because I know that's your favorite Shadow, but I was like, I don't know. I feel like that'd be so basic, so I tried not to. But
Right.
what do you think of yourself, Shadow?
My favorite is ninja. I would love to like say that I'm ninja class, but I would say what class is Vincent in Final Fantasy VII? Because I feel like he's probably the character that most accurately reflects him.
I want to say, like, I'm going off Final Fantasy 14 classes, like Mechanist, I think it's called, or Gunner, I guess.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking gunner only because he has the gun.
Yeah, they call it a Mechanist, and I think I'm not sure if this is correct.
For Vincent, I always felt his shotguns were more like secondary because like his human form, I felt was also more secondary because he's been so screwed up. I feel like the fact that he transforms to like demon or beast, like that really reflects upon me. Like when people cross certain lines with me.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I would say either ninja or like whatever class, like morph or mimic, maybe. Like if you want to call it that, or just something that can transmute himself.
Right. Mine is, for me, I don't know, because I'm like, I feel like I would love to be a black mage, but I don't think it fits my personality very well. I feel like I'd be some sort of tank, but what do you guys think?
I need to think on this for a minute because I was gonna change my answer for Shadow just now, like after recalling a story he told us a while ago.
Wait, say it. What is it?
I was like, no, Shadow's actually a tank because he's the first one to go in and get all up in the enemy's face and make them uncomfortable.
Well, you
look fucking delicious right now. Oh god. Shadow told us a story for people that don't know that somebody was being kind of creepy towards a girl, and so he got in her face and was like, "You look fucking delicious. Take me out to dinner."
No, I got in his face.
In his face.
You just got her face.
I'm sorry. In his face, because he was being a creep to this girl, and he like saved her by like getting in his face, saying, "You're fucking delicious."
Right.
Bro.
So I started sexually harassing him and telling him that he should take me to dinner, and then I threw him off the train.
And he got really confused.
Yeah, that was definitely like a Barrett moment for me.
Oh my god, you are. Yeah. Drown says, I don't think Machinist is accurate. I don't think it is either. It was just the first thing that came into my head. But
Hylia, I would say your class would be Final Boss.
What the fuck does that mean? What the hell? So a tank?
Well, because like I'm thinking about like the final boss of Final Fantasy VIII, or like I don't know, some like ultimate like ruby weapon or something. Like I feel like that's like when you freak out, I feel like it could destroy the whole planet. Yeah.
You guys don't know me when I freak out. Oh, actually, you do, I guess. Yeah, you guys see some shit.
Actually, I think if I were to class you, I'd probably class you as a summoner.
I was gonna say that too, just because I love summoners, and that's my main class in 14. But I was like, does that fit
you're a
me?
warrior of light, I'd class you as a summoner.
Yes. What about you, Vanessa?
Okay. Oh god, this is gonna sound so dumb. Everyone's gonna think I'm stupid because I don't know my classes like that.
No,
but I was gonna say that I think that you would take on a warrior role because I don't know, in a lot of the games I've watched, like I know there are a few exceptions, but the main character, like the leader of the group, always seems to be taking on the warrior class.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you're like the leader of our group. I see you as like that.
Warrior Zerker, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Evil Tuck says Shadow Gunner or Machinist. So yeah, I could see you being that. I would love for I need to post a quiz on the Discord that's what class are you, and see what everyone gets. So that would be kind of fun. And
Yes.
I'll do that. I'll find one and post it to the Discord. But
Yes.
so this was kind of a short episode today. Not really though. We've gone an hour.
Mhm.
Does anyone have anything to add before I make our closing remarks?
I would say shout out to all of our childhoods, whatever era, whatever generation, whatever console or game you grew up with. If your most nostalgic game is like My Little Pony, then props to you and props to that game. Like shout out to
Yeah.
video games for being able to shape us and touch us and grow with us and mature us and really be our best companions at our worst times and our best times.
And lately I've been seeing a lot of video game hate on Twitter, just kind of people defending what they've played, and I just don't think that's something that needs to be done. Whatever it is, it's your
What they
experience.
played. Right. Totally.
Yeah. Don't let someone shame you. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or how they play the game. Don't do that. Don't shame people for how they like to play their games.
Yeah,
Exactly.
is ugly. Don't do it.
I
Gamers
know.
are better.
Be positive. It doesn't matter. We all had our own experiences. Obviously, three of us have had very different experiences, and even people in chat, your guys' experiences are very diverse, which is it's great. I hope that one day somebody who's in the video game industry could hear these kinds of stories and feel better, because it's it really does change lives, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So I guess closing remarks. We will be back next week. We will not be taking a 2-week break again. Sorry about that. I was on vacation and it just wasn't going to be doable in the hotel. Yeah. So next week we will be doing a big topic that Shadow has put together. It has been waiting for 3 weeks. Things just have kept falling apart. Yeah, it's about really old. I mean, Shadow, how would you classify these video games? They're hella old. What?
The growth, the biggest growth spurt for Squaresoft, whatever. Their prime that really launched them from a small developer into the big leagues. So
Yeah.
that era, the end of SNES, the PS1 era, PS2 of Square, when they were Square and then Squaresoft and then Square Enix, all pretty quickly.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of pictures and it'll be different. We won't be really talking about Final Fantasy, but some games that I have never heard of, or if you have heard of them, they're very underrated and they probably have not been talked about in a long time. So it'll be kind of interesting if you have played most of these games to come by and give us your opinions, because I don't know any of them. So it's going to be interesting. So yeah. We love you all. Thank you for coming. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the middle there. We did get it figured out, though. And we will see you next Saturday at the same time. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.